The Magnificent Seven is finally out, and now it's a movie that is a reboot of the original, and you know how these movies work. They're either made because there's an idea that needs to be explored that a studio or director wants to expand upon, or the most likely option is this was made for the sole purpose of making money. Because, you know, who doesn't like money these days? Moving on. So, The Magnificent Seven takes place in like an early age, it's an old Western movie. And for a while I thought Westerns were kind of dead because there haven't been any really good ones aside from The Hateful Eight, and I really love that movie. And the only thing that this movie does to match The Hateful Eight is the cinematography. And the cinematography, for those who don't know, is pretty much what you see throughout the screen. And does it look great? Is it shot well? And that's basically what cinematography is. And there's a lot of great the cinematography in The Magnificent Seven is about on par to The Hateful Eight. And that was a huge plus for this movie. This movie also stars Chris Pratt, and he's pretty much a gambler. And if you've seen any movie starring Chris Pratt, you know what you're gonna get. A likable guy with a lot of humor. And he does really good in this movie. And, well, first off, before I continue on with Chris Pratt, everyone does a great job in this movie, especially Chris Pratt. All of the performances throughout are all great. And those are the two biggest positives I have for The Magnificent Seven. It does a great job of showing you what these people are, and giving you great cinematography, or should I say visuals at this point. And what this movie is basically about is this guy, he comes in, he threatens this town, and he burns a church, and because he wants control. And so along come a puzzle piece that fits into how do I describe this? Not a puzzle piece, but this little what is it? A little thing that comes in that bounces off of another thing, and then builds up to what we eventually get is the Magnificent Seven. And so, this movie also shows you it does know what it is, and that's exactly what made this movie work for me. And I'm gonna get into the negatives right now, because I gotta talk about them, because if I don't talk about them now, I'm gonna forget about them. And so here we go. The first negative I have is there are some pacing issues. Even though this movie is generally very fast paced, there are some little tiny parts that are just really slow and kind of yawn inducing. But I don't think that it will weigh the movie down for a lot of people. Well, because a little small part is probably that's slow and boring, that are far and few between. I don't think that's going to affect your overall experience with this movie, but it's probably going to stick out to you like a sore thumb. And speaking of a sore thumb, my biggest complaint with this movie is actually the last 30 seconds of the movie. You might be thinking to yourself, oh, how can 30 seconds of a movie really hammer it into the ground? Like someone took a hammer and bastion on the ground, and it's all CGI. It looked terrible. It was so bad. I could not believe it. It was just this weird world. Like, I got sucked into a 3D animated world. It's almost like as if someone took a hand, grabbed my shirt right here, and pulled me right out of the movie. And that's what it felt like to me. It was just inexcusably bad because the entire movie never had CGI. All the action in this movie was all practical. So when you put special effects in there, special effects diminish what my belief that this world is real. Well, when you use both practical and CGI. When you meld them together, they can be great, like Jurassic Park. A movie like that did a great job of convincing you that these dinosaurs are real and that there are practical dinosaurs that are really just machines, but they look real, and CGI dinosaurs that still hold up today very well. And so when I watch this, and there's nothing but practical, real environment, you see this little tiny environment, and it just feels like, why was that there? You didn't need that. It could have been anything else. I'm not going to say what it is because it is a spoiler, but it was very disappointing to me that whoever's idea to put this in was a really bad idea from a very well-made movie, and that is a big step down on this movie for me. And there's my rant on that little 30 seconds. Now that I've talked about that, I can talk about what's good again. Like I said, the performances is what carry the movie, along with the cinematography, along with the characters, and the action at the end of the movie is so... It feels like you're being sucked into their world, at least until you get to the last 30 seconds, or 2 shots of the movie. It's so stupid. But the majority of this movie is great, but the problem is I can't say it's a great movie. I can only say it's a really good movie, and for that reason, I'm going to give The Magnificent Seven a B+. And there are my thoughts on The Magnificent Seven. And if you've seen The Magnificent Seven, I would love to hear your opinions. You can leave anything you want down below, and I'll see you next time.